In Canvas, we are able to create group assignments, allowing students to submit one piece of work for the entire group, and you can then choose to grade once for the entire group or give individual grades to each of the students in that particular group. But the students in one group only have to submit once. So, how do we achieve this? Of course, we start off again creating the assignment with the name, the prompt, the amount of points, the submission type, and how many submission attempts, all that information. And as we scroll down towards setting up the dates, we have a section called Group Assignment. This is turned off by default, signaled by the fact that the words "this is a group assignment" do not have a check mark. If I click the box to the left of "this is a group assignment," now this will become a group assignment and I get a whole bunch of options. First off, I get to decide if I'm going to assign the grades to each student individually or to them as a group. If I assign grades as a group, once I've assigned a grade to the group, Canvas itself will put in the grade for all the students inside that group. So let's do it as an example this time that we're setting it to give individual grades. Why would you do individual grades? For example, let's say that there is a final project that has two aspects. One is a submission on Canvas, which is a particular Word document. And then they also asked to give a 5 to 10 minute presentation on the topic as a group. And then you might want to assign grades individually so that your grade can take into account their contributions to the presentation rather than just getting a grade for the submission, the Word document that they're submitting. So that's a use case scenario where you might want to give individual grades. Of course, another scenario is they are submitting documentation, but you expect that some groups might have some issues where some students have participated more than others. You might want to take that into account and change their grades accordingly. Now, after I've chosen whether or not I'm going to give the grades individually or as a group, I now have to set up the group. I do have past groups that I've created. You wouldn't see this if you've never used group assignments in the course before. But if you do, you are able to click select the group category and reuse your past groups. So if for example you have a project that is going throughout the semester and there's different aspects of the project that the group is submitting, you can set up the groups once in the initial assignment that kickstarts everything, and then keep reusing that, what is called that group set. So all the students are staying in the same group with the same students and continuing to submit the various aspects of that project. So that is great that you can reuse the groups, don't have to create them every single time. This time, let's imagine that it's our first time we need to create this group set. So that is just a collection of a whole bunch of groups. So we're going to click the button New Group Category, which will bring us a pop-up where we have to set up the name. So I'm going to give it a name. You could choose to use the name of the assignment as the group set name, or the name of the overall project, or some other group set name. It's up to you. Do keep in mind that the students do get to see these groups off of their main dashboard in Canvas. So making it something that signals which course it's from might be useful to them. Then we have several options. First off, we have to decide if we're going to allow the students to sign up for the individual groups, or do we want to put them into groups. So that is the first decision to make. If you allow self sign up, then you just click to the left of allow self sign up, And then, of course, if you've combined sections, you will want to click to the left of require group members to be in the same section so that the students do not form groups across the sections. Of course, if you are okay with them forming groups across several sections, you can leave that off. This particular course does not have several sections, so that is not a concern for me in this particular course. Then once I have allowed self sign up, I then can tell Canvas how many groups to create. It will create the empty groups so the students can sign themselves up. So I can, for example, tell it create 3 groups, and I can also tell it how many students can be in this group. So I can say maximum, let's say 3 people in each group. So basically what will happen when I do it this way is that Canvas will create 3 groups. They will be empty. Students will be able to sign up themselves to the group that they want to be in. And as soon as 3 people are in a group, nobody else can join the group. Then the last decision to be made is whether we want to automatically assign a student group leader or we want them to self-assign. If you set it up to automatically assign a group leader, that's the person who submits for the group. You can set it so the first student is the group leader, or you can set it to be random. So in this particular setup that we have on the screen right now, this is a setup where we're getting Canvas to create some empty groups with a limit, and the students sign themselves up to the group. We can, of course, have no limit in here. If we don't type any number next to the limit, then Canvas will just create 3 groups and allow even everyone to be in one group. So, of course, this depends on how you envision this particular assignment. You decide how you want the group structured. So this is for the students signing themselves up. Okay, what if you want to control how they get set into groups, or you don't want them to be able to self-sign up? So all we have to do now is make sure that allow self-sign up is unchecked, and then we have several options. So the 3 options we have is we can tell Canvas to just take the total number of students and split them up into a certain number of groups. So for example, I could tell Canvas create 4 groups, split however many students are in the course into those 4 groups at random. It will do it at random. It will just put them into the groups. Another option is I could tell Canvas, I want groups of 2 students. Canvas, you do the math. You figure out how many groups you have to create in order to only have 2 students per group. So depending on how you conceptualized the group assignment, you might want to use the first option where you just want 4 groups, or you might use the second option where you want everyone to be in maximum a pair in the side of the group. So it's up to you which option you choose. The last option is that you'll manually be creating all the groups. This is the most amount of work. We're going to turn that on so you can see what that looks like. So we're going to choose I'll create groups later and click save. We're going to leave all the dates and we're going to publish this. So once we have done this, when we look in the people section, so we're going to click people on the left hand side menu. Now here on the top, we see everyone. This is where it's showing me all the students in this course. Then it's showing me automatic groups is a group set that I created earlier where I told Canvas to create 3 groups of maximum 2 students. And this is what Canvas did. It pretty much split up all the students into these groups right here. So those are the groups, and it assigned a leader. The little symbol of a person to the right of someone's name means they are the leader for the group. So this is what happens when we tell Canvas create 3 groups for me and put the students in there. This is what they do. The one we just created was called individual groups. You can see that we have no groups in here. All we have is this empty group set with all the students listed to the left, and on the right, no groups whatsoever. So here, in order to start creating groups, I have to click plus group on the top right hand corner and put in example 1. And I want 3 students maximum in this. And I click save. And now I have an empty group, and I can drag these students right here. And I drag 3 students, and now I'm going to make this student the leader by clicking the 3 vertical dots to the right of the student's name. And here you can see I can click set as leader. So now this person is the leader. I have my first group of 3 students. Now I have to click plus group again and put in a name and 3 maximum. And then drag in the students. And then I'm going to set student number 4 as the leader. So why would you use the fully manual option? There are a couple of circumstances where you might use this. One is if you had the students group themselves together through a different method, for example, Zoom, during a Zoom meeting or a discussion board or some other way where the students have already submitted who's going to be in each of their groups. Maybe then you want to create the groups yourself and put them all in according to the documentation you already have. Another example where you might use this, if you need the groups to have completely different maximum limits. If you want one group to be maximum 2, another maximum 5, things like that. The only way to generate that is to manually create the groups yourself. If you have Canvas create the groups, then it will put the maximum based on what is set up for all of them. So if you want maximum limit of 3, it will be for all of the groups in the set. So those are kind of a couple of scenarios why you would do it manual. The last example I'm going to show you is the self-enroll groups. You can see what happens then is that Canvas makes the empty groups and the students get to sign up for this particular group that they want. So let's see what this looks like from the student point of view. When the students go into the course, when they click people on the left-hand side, they will be able to see a groups tab. And when they click that, they will see all the different groups sets that they are in or that they should be in. So for example, John's student is in automatic group 2 right here, and they get a button called visit in order to visit the area made especially for groups where they can have discussions and share files. But the important thing to look at is the self-enroll groups down here at the bottom. Said there's 0 students in group 1, and they have a join button right there. When they click the join button, they are now in self-enroll group 1. If we go back to the student view and we refresh to the faculty view and we refresh the page, we now see that self-enroll group 1 has John's student as one of the students. The other important thing is when the student submits for an assignment that is a group assignment, we're going to click on assignment 3. When the student clicks submit, it gives them a warning that this submission will count for everyone in their group. So it lets them know, and also if they add any comments, all the comments are sent to the whole group. So the students, all the students in the group can see the submission. They can see any comments left. And that goes vice versa as well. If you're leaving comments for the group, all the students in the group will see it. So let's go back to, so assignment 3 is set up as a group assignment, but set up to do group grading rather than individual grading. So when I go to Speed Grader, you can see on the right hand side that instead of names, I have automatic group 1, automatic group 3. And if I give a grade, let's give a grade of 80 to automatic group 3. And let's give a comment as well. Once I have given this grade, when I go to the grade book and I am looking at assignment 3, I see that 2 students have 80 out of 100. There were no grades previous. So when I gave the grade to that group, it automatically gave the grade to the students as well as the comments. Now for the assignment that we just created, that we set up as individual grading, when we go to the Speed Grader, let's have the student submit a PDF. So there they've submitted the work. When we refresh as the instructor, oh, let's find out. All right. When we look at this particular assignment, you can notice that on the right-hand side, instead of having the names of the groups, I instead have the names of the students here. So this particular student submitted work for this particular assignment, and student 1 and student 3 are also in the same group as John's student, so they also have submissions. But I can, for example, give a grade of 75 to John's student, and I can also give a comment that's only to this particular student rather than the whole group, because I'm doing individual grading. I can also, of course, write a comment for the whole group as well. But I can give John's student 75, then go to faculty 01 and give this student 90. And when I go here, I can see that for the final draft, I have a 75 for John's student, a 90 for Fac 1, and Fac 03, the third student, does not yet have a grade. So I can give different grades and different comments to each student. And that is the difference between individual grade versus a group grade.